Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello, everybody. Today, we are going to talk about some practice on morphological analysis. Last time, if you remember, we talked about the allomorphy patterns, and these allomorphy patterns are triggered or motivated by three levels of allomorphy. The first one is the phonological level, where the allomorphs are motivated by a phonology, where phonemes determine the type of the morpheme that is following. The second level is the lexical condition, where the variation is determined by the etymology, the history, diachronic factors of words, and finally, the morphological condition, where the morphemes actually are determining in the sense that the type of allomorphy is determined by the preceding morpheme. So actually, if we look into these levels, we can find that allomorphy is not restricted to only one level. Just to have a look at a morphological analysis, when we talk about morphological analysis, typically we mean how to deal with the morphemes, how to deal with the roots, stems, and so on and so forth. So here are some tips that can help us in determining how morphemes are represented, how allomorphs are also represented. Uh, if we begin with these tips here, we will begin with the first tip where, let's say, how many morphemes. The first one is how many morphemes each item. When we say item, it is a kind of word form. So when we talk about the item here, we talk about word forms. So how many morphemes? We should count the number of morphemes. If there are more than one morpheme, we have to decide which morphemes are free and which are bound, which can stand by themselves, and which cannot stand by themselves, and they need to be attached to other either stems or roots. If there are or there is more than one morpheme, we have to determine also which morpheme is derivational, i.e., uh, let's say, that changes the part of speech, and which is inflectional, which is paradigmatic versus syntagmatic. So it is important to know which morpheme is derivational and which is inflectional, because the knowing which one is derivational and which one is inflectional determines the order of derivation for the word forms. If there is more than one morpheme, also we have to know, we should know, sorry, which one is the root. So we said that the root is cannot stand by itself, but it is meaningful. It is the most embedded, semantically full form, meaningful, but it cannot, I mean, the root sometimes cannot stand by itself, and sometimes also it can stand by itself. And if we know the root, we can know what the prefixes are and what the suffixes are. So actually here, it is important to know what the root is, uh, of course, what the stem is, what the word form is, and what the base is, also base form. So actually these are very important notions that we have to bear about the behavior of the word forms. Which word forms are simple, I mean, that can be only root or can be only a stem. Which are complex, I mean, which word forms that contain either prefixes or suffixes, or maybe circumfixes or maybe interfixes, or circumfixes. So, or compound forms, I mean the forms that have or that are composed of a lexeme plus another word in terms of compounding, which undergoes let's say, the logic of derivation because they are compounds. Here, when we talk about complex, we talk about a root or a stem plus suffixes or prefixes, or sometimes circumfixes, right? So we have circumfixes, right? Or sometimes we have interfixes within the form itself. But with compounds, for example, we have compounds like, for example, uh, crazy horse, right? So here we have a kind of what kind of horse? It's a crazy horse, right? It is a kind of teapot, right? Yeah, what kind of pot? It is tea pot, lipstick, right? What kind of stick? It is lipstick. So these are the compounds that we mean here in this presentation. If there are inflectional suffixes, I mean the suffixes that maintain the citation form or the entry for the word uh, with no changing the part of speech, but with the changing of the different levels of the inflection, like tense, mood, gender, number, case, person, polarity items, voice, and so on and so forth. These are the inflectional. Are they regular or irregular? When we talk about regular forms, we talk about patterns that govern the change that is available for the form, like when we have a boy, boy, boys, right? This is regular. Child, children, right? Which is irregular. So here we have irregular forms and we have another pattern of regular uh, form. Okay. So also when we talk about the uh, segmenting of words into morphemes, so we are analyzing sounds, not spelling. So for example, when we have the divisions of happiness, various, right, and so on and so forth, we have happy, we have very, we have try for tries, and so on and so forth. Fitting, uh, and so on and so forth. So here, if we say, for example, for happy, like happy, it's like this, right? It is misspelled, right? So here we divide sounds happy with happiness sounds not orthographic forms. So we talk about here, uh, let's say we talk about utterances, right? Not orthography. This is the idea here. Okay. If we represent the form in the orthographic system, it would be misspelled like what we have here. Okay. So in general, dear students, uh, in general, when we talk about the segmenting of words into morphemes, we talk about different phenomena, different settings, different contexts for the morpheme analysis. As when we talk about the subtraction, ipt and inept, right? Is a morpheme because in is also a morpheme. It seems to have the negative sense of incompetent. So the same here. Sometimes we have semantic indicators like and butcher, right? Butcher, despite there being no verb butch. So we have to be careful because it expresses the agent as in teacher, worker. So actually, there we need to have a kind of to be cautious when we have such forms like this. and they form a kind of blocking rules, and we are going to talk about the blocking rules in the future. Sometimes when we talk about systematic allomorphy, where we have resume, right? Zoom, right? It is, and pel and repel are morphemes because they have allomorphs, zoom, pulse that appear with other words. So we have to notice that this supports a division into morphemes, despite the fact the morphemes do not mean anything on their own. So they have to attach to other forms, like when we talk about consume, consumption, right? It is assume, right? With sump, right? Resume, resumption, right? Presume, presumption. Repel, repulsion, right? Compel, compulsion. Expel, expulsion. So here we talk about a pel versus pel, which are allomorphy, morpheme-based variations. The same here. We have sume versus sump, right? Because it is also followed by a morpheme shin. Okay, so here this allomorphy is important here. Now let's have a look at the data below here to have more practice on whether the following cases, represent a lexically, phonologically, or morphologically conditioned allomorphy. So here, for example, we have the following here, the prefix in, m, informing verbs like cause to enter a particular thing or state to mean to cause to enter. For example, when we have prison, right? We have prison, we have body, we have power, sorry, bolden, bitter, panel. So here we have words that begin with p, b phonemes, right? So we will notice that the p, b are bilabials. So if we add a morpheme for the state of causing to enter a particular thing or state, we add m. So this m has a kind of bilabial uh, characteristics, right? If we describe it, we have it, we see that it has a bilabial feature. So we find that this in negative this state or this morpheme is m. If we look into chain and danger, enlist, entrain, enslave, snare, tangle, large, we find that it is in. So here we have actually a kind of typically we need to know how this problem set works, because we need to know, we need to see what type of variation we have a kind of change. So here, for example, the thing that we have at hand here is that we have in, the morpheme in becomes, right, m, when it is followed by the phonemes pa, ba. So we notice that this allomorphy is triggered by the by phonology, by the phonemes pa and ba. So here we have morpheme 1 and the allomorph m. All right, this allomorph m is becomes m, huh? Because it is followed by the phoneme pa and ma. So here it is phonologically determined. All right. The other thing here, when we talk about this proceed, procession, recede, recession, recede, recessive, right? Concede, concession. Here we talk about also the seed sieve, right? Variation also. It is similar to consumption that we talked about earlier. Another thing here, so the pattern of change here is morphology. It is the morphology that causes a change into the pattern here. The third one here at hand is the allomorphy, which is caused by voicing of final consonant in stems for the se plurals. So we have, for example, wife, right? So when we add se, which is the plural marker, it becomes wives, right? So we notice that the change of fe, ve here, right? Uh, the fe, ve here of the morpheme wife, right? It becomes wives. So it is the se morpheme changes the morpheme wife into wives. So here it is a kind also of allomorphy. This allomorphy is caused by the morphemes. So we have thief, thieves, shelf, shelves, life, lives, knife, knives, loaf, loaves, and a calf, calves, hoof, hooves, half, halves, wolf, wolves, house, houses, mouth, mouths, right? So here we notice, dear students, that it is the change of allomorph as in cliff, cliffs. So we have cliff, cliff becomes cliffs, not, not cliffs, right? Or safe becomes safes, saves, or proofs, not proves, right? Fives, not fives, cloths, not cloths, and so on and so forth. Sometimes we have some dialectal variations, right? With war, in some places it is produced with wharf, wharfs, and in other dialects it is wharf, wharves, right? With dwarf, dwarfs, dwarves, roof, roofs, roofs, sheaf, sheaves, sheaves, and can is tolerant to possibilities. And finally, we have the allomorphs that are also here. In dog, this is the normal, right? Dogs, cats, vans, guns, and so on and so forth. It is the sa, cups, cats, and so forth. It is the is, breeze, breezes, buses. So here, classically speaking, we notice that the morphemes sahza and is are determined by the preceding uh, phonemes. So we have the, for example, we have the sa that becomes the only and only if it is preceded by, for example, ga in dogs, ba in cabs, va in wives, na in vans, na in guns, ga in fangs, battle, la in battles, and the vowel e, the vowels. Okay, so here we notice that all these are phonemes and they determine the type of the following allomorph. The same, so here we have sa remains sa if it is preceded by a voiceless sound like pa, ta, tha, ka, and fa. And the other scenario where this sa becomes is, right, the intervocalic, the sound with a vowel is when it is preceded by za, sa, sha, ja, cha, and se. So the palatals or sibilants in general. So here we notice that the variation here is determined by phonemes. So here it is phonologically motivated allomorphy. It is phonologically motivated allomorphy. Okay, now let's move to some practice here on Turkish, right? Here, as we see here, before Turkish, let's do some Korean accusative suffixes, which are the markers of the direct objects. So here we notice that we have ton, money, chaik, book, tally, leg, sakwa, apple. So we notice, dear students, that the accusative marker is represented in two different allomorphs in the final position. So it seems that when we add ton for the accusative, it is we add ul like this, right? Chaik, chaikul, and tali, tali lul, and sakwa, sakwa lul. We find, dear students, here that the morpheme is typically determined by the preceding phoneme. If it is preceded by a consonant, so it is ol, right, in the final position. If it is a vowel, it is lol. So we notice, dear students, here that the morpheme ol becomes lol when and if and only if it's preceded by a vowel. Where is the vowel here? It is on the boundary of the word. It is on the boundary of the word. At the edge of the word, it is a phoneme that immediately precedes the ol, so it triggers the insertion of the consonant to break the vowel. Okay, to break the two vowels in a process called vowel hiatus. So vowel hiatus, when we have a kind of two vowels, and these two vowels need to be broken by a consonant inserted between them for ease of production. So here we find that tali ends with e, sakwa ends with a vowel a. So we have here. Okay, so we have here uh, a change like this. Okay, so we notice that this language loves suffixation. It doesn't love two vowels in the final position. If a morpheme is added, the vowel, I mean, added with in the a vowel initial morpheme is added, the output allomorphy is or occurs with a consonant in the onset position of the morpheme, as we have seen with Korean. Okay, now let's move to Turkish here. Let's move to Turkish here. Maybe the same here. We find the same phenomenon. Okay, we have the same phenomenon, dear students, of allomorphy. In Turkish, as we know, Turkish is a very rich, morphologically rich language. It is a kind of agglutinative language. Uh, okay, now let's have a look at the different allomorphs or the different allomorphy patterns occurring in this language. So we have house, evim, my house, dil, language, delim, my language. So here it seems that the suffix is im. Koi, koyum, my village, gun, ganum, my gun. So here the with umlaut, yulum, my way, tuz, tuzum, my salt. And then we find that we have ad, adim with im, uh, im, adim, right, short vowel, add kizim with im, and with im here. And finally, we have baba with babam, only meh, right? So we notice here, dear students, Turkish also loves suffixation. It has one, two, three, four allomorphy patterns for the possessive derivation here in this language. Also, this language also seems to be incorporated with a phenomenon called vowel harmony. So, vowel harmony happens when we have a kind of the addition of a vowel either in the initial position or final position is triggered by the type of the vowel in the root or the stem itself. So here we have im, we have e here, we add im or the im, eve, im, show a long vowel, deal, delim, the vowel harmony, koi, u, we have rounded vowels with umlauts. So we have with umlaut, yul, tuz with rounded vowel without umlaut. We have the rounded vowel without umlaut. Add keys, we have a low front vowels. We have right? And finally, we notice that it is a vowel final word it ends with a word. So actually, all vowels delete, and we have only the ma because ba, like this. If we assume that for the vowel harmony, so we have two vowels, and this is illegal. So in order to get rid of this problem, so we just delete the, so it becomes bab am, right? Or bab am, like this. Okay, baba, sorry, babam. So we have the vowel of the morpheme is deleted to get rid of the vowel hiatus, where two vowels are not possible either with I mean on the in the final position or in the previous position of the word. So allomorphy is sensitive to vowel hiatus in this regard. Okay. Okay. So here, just to recap things here, we have vowel hiatus, we have vowel harmony in Turkish and in Korean, right? So here, if we look into Turkish again, we find that we have a kind of lokanta, where we have lokanta, de. So we have de, which means, which is a kind of locative in, right? Uh, rendezvous, rendezvous da, right? So kitab ta, right? kultuk ta, and tarafta. We find, dear students, that for the locative uh, state here, we have suffixation, and the suffixation is the, and the suffixes are the and ta. We notice, dear students, that we should have a morpheme, and this morpheme has an allomorph. Typically speaking, we have the higher distribution katab, kultuk, and taraf, where we have ta, right? So the morpheme ta becomes the allomorph da, right? When, if, and only if we have what? We have a vowel. We have a vowel in the final position of the word. So if it is a vowel, so we have da instead of ta. Still, we cannot tell whether it is da that is preceded by a voiced consonant, because in the data here we don't have any voiced consonant to determine whether it also can accept da in the final position. But for the time being, we said that the suffix da is only restricted in the environment of a vowel in the final position of the word form, and it is ta when it is preceded by a voiceless, a consonantal sound in the stem or in the previous word form. So here is the distribution of the allomorphs. We said that it is vowel. Okay, it is how this language works. Okay, now let's move to Michoacan Aztec, which is a kind of Mayan language. spoken in Mexico. Here in this language, dear students, we should look into how the data works. We have here a data, and if we look into the data, we find that this data, let's say, contains a variety of change patterns. So we have a Nocali, which is my house, Nocali miss my houses, Mokali, your house, Ikali, which is his house, Kali, which is house, Kalimis, which is houses, right? So we have, this is number one. I make a kind of distribution based on the meaning here, the semantic domain. So we have also Nopilo, my dog, Mopilo, your dog, Mopilo, Mopilo, miss, your dog, Epilo, his dog, Pilo, dog. So here we have, and finally we have the Aztec words for cornfield. Now we find, no, we notice that here we have three stems, right? We have three stems. So we have the first stem is Kali, which means house. This is number one. Number two is we have Pelo, which is dog, and we have uh, Kwahmili, which is cornfield. Kwahmili, which is cornfield. Now, our job is to see how this language works in terms of morphemes expressing different levels of inflection. So let's begin with a Kali here, with Kali. So first, let's see the stem, the most embedded stem, which is Kali, right? Now, to see the change patterns here, we notice that for my, as in no Kali and no Kalimis, we find that this is no, the the prefix no, which means my, right? So here, no Kali, no Kalimis. Mo, as in Mo Kali here, Mo, which means your. And you find that this applies to Mo Pilo, your dog, Mo, Mo Kawahmili, your cornfield. No Kali also applies to also no Kali, no Kwahmili, which means my cornfield. Mo Ikali, which is the prefix E, right? Which is E, which means his, okay? It is his. This is also presented in Ipelo, right? And in Equa Mili, Equa Milimis as a kind of first person possessive. And also we have Kali, the. So the notice that we have here, the observation that we have here is that we have no, we have mo, sorry, ma, and we have e, right, to represent possessive, right? And also, this applies to the rest of the data. Another change pattern here reflected in this data seems to have been the plural marker, as in houses, as in dogs, as in fields. We notice that the suffix here that that shows this change is miss, right? The suffix miss. So as in no Kali miss, Kali miss, uh, Equa helimis, right? So we find that according to the data here, according to the data here, we notice that in this data, we have the roots or the stem according, so here we have possessive in this language, and we have plural or number. So the configuration, let's say, the configuration of this language allows for the following roots. So the following rule. So for this language, we have a root or stem here, preceded by the suffix, which reflects possessive marker, and it ends with the plural marker. So if we have a